We are not going to face quarterbacks like Garrett Nussmeier every week in the Big Ten. We just are not going to. I'd say Drew Auer looked really, really good. It looks like Kolnicki and Penn State, their vertical passing game, they're kind of taking the training wheels off of Auer. So that's going to be a great test for USC. Always have a solid defense. But we talked about it preseason. There just are not going to be a lot of live arms. And I mean, this is what I wrote at Trojans Wire. The fact that, you have most likely, we just played probably. I mean, I didn't know that Aller was going to make that leap, Matt, when I wrote that list, but it looks possibly like Nussmeier, the way he played, and just like Miller, he's going to get better and better. But anybody knocking what Nussmeier did was not paying attention. I mean, Brian Kelly did say that Miller Moss outplayed him, and I have to agree with them. There were some plays that he left on the field that should have been made, but he's going to get better. But I just don't see, Matt, unless I have a blind spot here, any quarterbacks outside of Aller that are going to be playing, that USC is going to be playing up to that level. Oh, sorry. There is a game against the Irish late in the season that might, but that's more with his legs than his arm.
Yeah.
But I think we probably saw either him or Aller, the two best arms we're going to see all year. We've seen that USC's run defense is absolutely great. We got to give credit. We knew this was going to happen with Matt Entz. The linebackers were active, shooting. There's just big plays on that. I wrote a little bit about this on that goal line. The early goal line stand, has told us a lot about this defense. And what I saw from that was you just on first down, it was like, I think it was Gentry that got the tackle for a loss, I believe. And then there was a throw in the corner to Lacey that Covington was with them, almost step for step. Looks like Covington gets the reception, but Covington knocks him out of bounds. Now it's second down. Then it just, every play that you saw during that drive, Matt, during that stand, Matt, was just beginning to show you that's the way they're tackling. Oh, then you had that zone blitz where Braylon Shelby drops back, makes a great play on that screen, on that inside screen that they run, makes the play, sure tackle. Last year, I mean, I don't know if we make that tackle. The guy probably slips, it gets into the end zone. Just great T-ball, great call by Danton Lynn, and an even better call on the next play when they had, it looked like this guy's that blitz, a well-timed blitz by Mason Cobb, who shoots the middle, gets pressure on Nussmeier, who tries to roll back out to his left. But because of all that extra size and extra strength, Anthony Lucas had shoved Will Fistfight Tiger back about 5 yards and just cutting off Nussmeier's escape. And Nussmeier with Cobb breathing down his neck just had to unload the ball and throw it away. I mean, that really showed us a lot about what this game was going to be and the improvements we were going to have with this defense. It just play by play, it showed you all the mistakes that would not have probably been there last year were there in spades on that series.
So let's drill home this particular point. In November, December, on into January, but at the end of last season, late last season, you had a lot of USC fans saying, Mason Cobb's a bust.
Not
this
me.
guy's
not this guy.
I know, not you, but a lot of USC fans did. What? This guy was supposed to be really good coming from Oklahoma State. He hasn't delivered. He hasn't lived up to the billing. And you and I both said this. I know I said it a lot. This is not about Mason Cobb.
Yeah.
This is not about the players. This is about the coaches not being able to coach their way out of a wet paper bag. This is about Alex Grinch having no effing clue how to teach football. Okay? You give Mason Cobb a good coach, he's going to be good. You give Eric Gentry a good coach, he's going to get tougher. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get better. And you saw it. But, man, you saw this. Coaching matters, folks. You can't blame this on the players. Because at the NFL level, I've said this in the offseason, going to say it again one more time. At the NFL level, you're a grown man. You're strength training all year round. It's your job to be a physical specimen. It's your job to be healthy. You're not worrying about academics. You're not worrying about, the the cute girl in class. Like, your job is football 24/7 in the NFL. And so if you're not measuring up in certain ways, put it on the player, right? You're being paid millions of dollars. If you're not measuring up, it's really on the player much more often at the NFL level. Like, you sink or swim, you know what you're supposed to do. You either do or you don't. At the collegiate level, it is different. I mean, you can say to an extent that the players do have to play. Sure, like that's obviously true. And like, if a player drops a ball or makes a dumb mistake, like, Jacoby Lane, with the not being able to execute the rub play near the goal line, like, that's on the player. Like, because the coaches teach that rub play, and Lane just did not execute it well at all. So obviously there are going to be times when you say, okay, that mistake's on the player, because the coaches can't make you finish a play. It's like saying that you're a bad basketball coach if your players don't make free throws. The players need to make the free throws. But more broadly, in the college game, with guys being younger, and guys being, just trying to evolve into professional level players, or at least elite players, the best that they can be, the coaching, the teaching, the guidance, the instruction, day to day, like, that is going to show up at some point. You're going to see which coaching staffs get these 19, 20, 21-year-old athletes to do what they're supposed to do. And last year, the coaches, Grinch and also Dante Williams in the secondary, they didn't have the first or last clue about how to do that. But now that you see professionals, grown-ups, adults in charge of this USC defensive unit, boom! Like, you can see the transformation. Look at that form tackling. Look at that fundamentally sound hitting. Look at guys being in position all the time. Like, this is coaching. This is what coaching does. So, at the NFL level, put it a lot more on the players. But at the collegiate level, these young guys need the right guidance. They need the right developers. You're seeing it. You saw it against LSU. Hopefully we all learned a little bit about the coach versus player dynamic in terms of who's responsible for whether college football programs succeed or fail. Difference could not be more different, 180 degrees from last year to this year.
And now, Matt, how would you like your crow served? Because there's also the thing on player, like mano a mano, right? Player against player, mass and acceleration times mass. And we know what force is. And the job that Benny Wiley and Rachel Suba did with the transformations of these players were just immediate. And to see just the way that the Trojans were absolutely just destroying that we were called they were called the soft guys. But if you watch just the way that they're blowing dudes up, just left, right, and center on plays. Thank you, by the way, Trojan Blade, for sending me these videos. It was an ongoing thing the entire game, just with guys just getting completely out physicaled. And again, refreshing to see, because we've seen Arizona teams push around Trojan teams in recent years, Arizona State teams that had no business shoving a Cardinal gold jersey around ever. I mean, I'll tell you, one of the lowest points I've ever been to a USC game, the Coliseum, was in 2000. It was in 2021, and they were playing Oregon State. And Oregon State, I believe, I mean, it wasn't 2020. I think it was 2020. No, it could have been 2020. 2021, they came in, and they were running left and right, almost like student body right. They were only pulling like that you do student body right, but they were going left, they were going right, and they were running the ball right down a USC defense. One of the lowest points I could ever. You have Oregon State, no offense, Beebs, coming into the Coliseum and doing what USC has done for the better part of a century to us on our own field. That told you where we were as a program. To go from that moment, me sitting in the Coliseum and watching that take place, to me being in Las Vegas and watching the Trojans. I'm not saying we dominated, because we didn't, but you know, football's about your one-on-one matchups, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I saw a lot of wins for USC, and a lot of those wins where USC is supposed to be pushed around. Remember, they're going to come in and run and knock USC out. A lot of people were thinking they're just going to run the ball down USC's throat. I said, we're going to good luck right to a heavy box. We're going to make Nussmeier win the game. And it looked like they just sat back, took away for the deep pass, let Kyron Lacey get all his underneath stuff and crack him his yards, but then clamped it down inside the red zone.
Yep. So Benny Wiley definitely gets high marks for this. No question about it. I will say, however, like, he hasn't put this thing to bed totally because the defense just could not have been really any better than it was. But the offensive line, like, we need to see run blocking. We need to see that against Utah State. We need to see these guys just pancaking Utah State. I would like to see Miller Moss throw fewer than 15 passes in this game. Like, this is a game to dump truck a weaker opponent and just mash and get some confidence being able to bulldoze some guys. That's still what we need to see with this USC offensive line. Run blocking and not having guys getting pushed back into Miller Moss in terms of a caved pocket, because with Miller Moss's hand getting hurt a little bit, like, you don't want that to recur. Not just the hand potentially getting hurt, his throwing hand, but also if he hits his hand on a helmet or an opposing defensive lineman's hand, you can get like a tipped ball and an interception there. So Benny Wiley has it going in the right direction. I'm definitely going to be able to admit that. Like, I can't pretend otherwise. So happy to be proved wrong. Some people might think that's insincere, but I said it during the offseason. Like, I hope I was wrong. And certainly against LSU, I was. But the offensive line is where USC still needs to show extra dimensions of muscle and power and effectiveness. So we still need that question to be answered as we go along.
There were some beats up front that were a bit disappointing, but I'll stop by saying that there was also it was a solid performance. Sometimes I want to see them kind of take over. I think we have a really big line, and sometimes I don't think they play as big as they can on run blocking. I would like to see a little more of what I thought I was going to see. I'll be honest, I didn't quite see what I thought I was going to see in the run game. And again, like we said, Miller only was sacked twice, which is great, but there were a lot of pressures on a little more than we would like to see in the bad down passes. So there's stuff to clean up on the offensive line. Matt, you talked about a little bit earlier. They got to secure that ball just a little bit better. The little things, right? We talked about that just keeping that mental toughness, not letting the other team get you. I think overall it was really chippy. Bad job by the Big 12 officials. I think they let the game get a little bit out of hand at times. Just right off the bat, I mean, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I remember there was a cheap shot. Was it to Zachariah Branch to the back of his head? It was right in front of two officials. After the play, the LSU defender just kind of gave a big smack to the back of his head. It was clearly a personal foul. Nothing was called. And I'm sure there was some chippy stuff going on in that pile on both sides of the ball. But I do think that the refs could have done a little better job of kind of getting that early. But overall, I'm glad it didn't become a part of the game. Yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a Pac-12 refs moment.
Oh, thank God.
In this game. Like, we didn't have USC getting flagged for a soft, bogus roughing the passer penalty on 3rd and 10 in the fourth quarter. Utah, cough, cough. Utah, 2022, cough, cough. So, we didn't have that call that just absolutely stabs us in the back. Like, I'll take this level of officiating any day of the week.
They're coming after Mark. Well, Mark did say that he's taking USC in this game.
Yeah,
so
Mark
you're going after the
USC
wrong guy a little bit.
Mark had USC plus the points, as all three of us did.
Now, he wasn't doubting Thomas. I kept telling him about the defense. He kept saying, well, we'll just have to wait and see. And I think that he saw as much as he would like to see. So I will say this. I don't believe he and I argue right now. I mean, neither one of us has the time to go back and look at what he said. I think last week, by the way, I think I was the only one to say USC wins this week straight up. I'm pretty sure I was the only one on the show that said. I think you two were saying you were going to take the points.
I had USC. Right? Well, in terms of placing a bet, I would have taken USC plus the 4, but I did predict USC winning this game by 6. But I will admit that, like, I wouldn't have had the guts to bet USC money line. It was more just taking the points. But you I think can be said as being on record that you're taking USC on the money line, not just plus the points.
Yeah, I straight up knew we were going to win this game. I mean, I just knew it. But turned out to be a great game. Could have gone either way. USC did leave some points on the board, like we talked about earlier. I mean, it's maybe not such a drastic finish if USC doesn't miss that. I mean, that was a gut wrench. Don't say, fans out there, none of you had some doubts when USC went down at the end of that half, 10-10, getting ready to go ahead 13-10, and Michael Lance pushes it right. That was quite a momentum killer, and that kind of led into that third quarter where the rushing game of LSU kind of started to come a little bit alive. So, but again, never doubt your Trojans. Great victory.